Welcome back and to part 2 of day 4 of the Big Bradford Cathedral N-scale card model push. You might remember if you watched this morning that I've made a mistake and this window here needs to move 6mm to the left. Now this is part of a big component that was put in 2 days ago and it's had another component stuck on top of it since then. So it's going to need some surgery. I did ask whether you thought that it was worth it, and I think most of the consensus is in agreement. Trev, thank you. You said correct it, otherwise it'll bug you forever. And then Christopher, you said I must correct it. So correct it, I will. Now, I don't have to take the entire panel out. The only join will be where the buttresses are. So I don't need to take the entire thing out. I just need to replace the window and then put new texture over it. So to that end, I've printed this out on a piece of copier paper and I'm going to glue that, or tack it at least, to here. And then all I need to do is cut around that line to take out a section. And if I can take out that section there, that'll take out the window and leave me enough room to put the new section in. Then I can drop in a section the same shape as that. And then when that's in, I can just put texture over the top of this again and wrap it around the new window. So that's my plan. I think it's the least destructive plan. Let's see how it works. So I've only put glue on the bits that I want to remove. So this should help me get it all aligned and straight. And I've got a little bit of wriggle time with the PVA to make sure it's all lined up properly. That seems about right. So that's that. Now I should be able to take it and cut it. I'll use a new blade, I think. Now, who suggested using clips? That's a brilliant idea. I'm going to clip the ruler into place. Just to hopefully prevent it from slipping. As long as this one doesn't get in my way. Okay, let's go for it. Oh, it's always scary doing this to a partially completed model. How do you know when you're through? I think that's it. Alright, I shall carry on and we'll come back in a second. And there we are, a nice hole where the window used to be. So that cut through quite nicely actually. It's come off well enough. So now all I need to do is create a new piece of this with the window in the right place, glue it into the slot left behind, and then put texture on from here to here. So I've been careful to keep the cut bit in the middle of where the texture will go. So if I can get it smooth enough, it shouldn't make too much of a difference. Let's see how it works. Okay, so there's the new piece with the window in place. Let's see. Hopefully it should just go straight in here like that. Yeah, that's not bad, is it? Maybe it's a little bit low, but that's okay. I can get it into the right place with this. There, I think that's fine. Obviously the challenge with this is I'm going to have to put the texture onto the cathedral and then try and wrap the texture around it, but I think that should be okay. I've got enough space to get my fingers in. Okay, I'm going to glue this into place and keep it as smooth as possible. So I need to nudge it forward because obviously these ones have now got a sheet of paper on, this one hasn't. So I need to nudge it forward to make it flush all the way around as best I can. I've already sanded the edges a little bit to remove any roughness. I need to do it a little bit more. Once I've got that, I'll glue it in and then I'll have my lunch and then I'll come back and put the texture on and hopefully everything should be fine. Alright then, so the patch is in place and I've made it as smooth as I possibly can. I now have the replacement texture, which should glue on top. Instead of setting the texture halfway down the buttress, I've made it the full width of the buttress. That way the buttress won't go on wonky, and it should be fine. So we'll get this glued in, and then I'm going to have to work from the outside in with the window wrapping. That's okay though, I've done that before on some other chandwell buildings where it always made sense to build them in the entirety before wrapping. So it's a little bit awkward. I might need to use a paintbrush or a toothpick or something to get the glue on, but I think it'll be fine. So let's get the texture on first, and then we can be letting the glue set. Alright, so I've actually covered the whole thing in glue, so I might not need to use a toothpick to put the glue on for the window. It should all go in one piece. So let's get that on there. That on there. Now slide them into position. I'm going to have to come down to this level. Oh, that's a pain. I tried to avoid getting damage on this side when I was sanding it, but I've managed to sand it a little bit. Look, that's going to have to fill in with the watercolour pencil later on. Has it slipped over to the left a little bit? I think it has. That's okay, it's still slippy. I think that's probably as good as it's going to get. That's one that I miscut slightly, so that'll have to, we can tidy that up at the end. Alright. I think that's good. Okay. Now I need to break through this window. Let's put it in like that. There we are. Right. So now I can just use that to get the knife in. Go down, go along, go down. This is not ideal, but it should work. There, all done. Can't tell that anything is ever wrong, can you? Even the patch you can't see. If you look like that, you can see the white line. Move it to about here, and the whole thing vanishes. Spot on. Excellent, I'm glad I did that. Right, now on to what I was going to call this entire episode. It's buttress time. Chris, I think it was you that commented that you were amused by how many times I said the word buttress in the last video. Let's see who's the first to count how many times I say it in this video. So I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 buttresses, get those on. And then if I have time and the will, I might start putting the bottom plinths on. But once the buttresses are in place, I will then put the porch into place. Actually, we didn't test the porch, did we? That'll end up going around about there, which maybe there, which puts that window in exactly the right place. Superb. See you in a bit. So we're 2 hours into the great buttress making marathon, and we've got 1, 2, 3 in place, and I'm about to put the 4th one on. So these are made in the same way as this one that I showed yesterday. It's essentially the shape of the buttress in 3 layers joined together, and then with the top piece on in 2 layers glued on top. And then this goes on here. So this part of the buttress goes together like this, and that makes it, seem as though it's going all the way through the wall. And then once they're on, I'll put some bits on the back to make it the full depth of these bits that stick out. And I'll do the same over here once I know what that depth actually ends up being. Once all of that's done, I can then put the texture on. Now the texture is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces per buttress. So we've got 5, 10, 15, 20 pieces of texture to put on. These ones have got an additional 1, 2, 3 pieces because it goes round the back, so that's 3, 6, 9. So about 30 pieces of texture to carefully print, cut, colour in the edges and put on. So I reckon that's going to take the rest of the day. If I can get that done, I'll then pop the porch on, which is now in the right place. It's up against that buttress, it's close to the window, you can't see the join anywhere, and I think that would be a good end to the day. Then obviously we need to think about tomorrow. I'm not going to do another
It ran! Brilliant!
walking thing. That did make me laugh, that comment. But once we've done that, I think I'm going to obviously spend time getting the base on, like I said, the plinth around the bottom. That'll be the first job tomorrow. And then after that, I'm going to go back over here and start finishing off each of these pieces in turn. And that, by the end of the week, should leave me with just the other side to do. So all in all, it's been a good day. I would have rather have not spent an hour fixing the window, but I'm really pleased that I did. It looks a lot more like the prototype now.